Ooh, it's a live game. It's a live game. You know what that means? That means we get to do predictions. It also means this is going to be hilarious because some interesting choices coming out. It seems Demu is doing a day of Juji here. Meanwhile, Core is back on his Abbasids. Now, I gotta say, like, actually, credit to him. I think Core does pretty well with the Abbasids. We've seen some really impressive games. When people were starting to test out the whole idea of, like, fast castling up against the Ayyubids, he was one of the first people there finding success with the, I think, the Culture Wing build, right? Which was really cool to see. This is a different kind of tempo, though. This is one focused solely around feudal more than anything else. And I'm curious to see how Core's going to address it, because one thing straight out the bat, straight out the door, actually, that I'm not a big fan of is if we see Military Wing. I think this is one of those matchups, and this is rare. You will rarely hear me say this about Military Wing. I think this is one of the very few matchups where you could not go Military Wing, because it's not valuable at all. The reason is that you're going to get 2 archers and 2 spearmen, and your opponent's just going to build Chuganu rather and kill you. And thank you for the resub, Jurosar. Welcome back to the Swarm, buddy. So I think in this matchup, I don't think you can just go Culture, right? Culture feels a little bit greedy. Does it feel that crazy, though? Trade Wing is kind of intriguing to me. Trade Wing on this map spawn as well, with where he's placed the House of Wisdom and where the neutral trade post is, isn't a bad idea, because if you think your opponent is going to play Feudal All-In, which is like practically all GG games right now, or go fast castle and do nothing, either way, trading is a very beneficial element for you. So we'll get the moment of truth soon. Meantime, initial scout rotations, looks like we have got a 12 sheep pull versus a 10. So not too much in it, but pretty respectable for Demu when you consider the fact that his opponent should have been able to stay out for a lot longer due to the berry gathering of the Abbasids. And I imagine we are just going to be looking at standard Meditation Garden. Honestly, I think you just take the default location. Like, it's kind of been given to you quite nicely here, right? The berries and the gold with the wood line like this, it's going to be a decent one. You could run out into the middle of the map, but if you think your opponent is going Military Wing, it feels like it's kind of a death sentence for the villager, and you might not even get the landmark up. So, considering Demu hasn't even pulled a villager yet, it's going to be the safe choice. I'm a little bit heartbroken, not going to lie. I legit think that one of the things that can make Juji absurd on this map are the central spawns. Like, look at some of these. Double food, for example, is just a jackpot. I don't think there's a disgusting one. Sometimes I'll see it be like 3 berry bushes in range of each other with gold as well. I think this one probably wouldn't have been worth the walk. So Demu did make the right choice. But cool, we're going to find out if this is the right choice, because I'm really not sure. All right. I'm going to get chat's input because we like to involve you guys. One's if you think Military Wing is the correct way to go here. Because it is still going to be 2TC. That's an obvious. Like, you're playing Abbasids, you're almost always going to go 2TC. Because I think that Trade Wing would have been a lot more beneficial here. It would have also forced your opponent out of his base towards you, and then you could have punished him when he comes nearby. Right? To me, Military Wing is just, like, you're running towards a player that you know can have what I call the paper shredders of Feudal Age, right? They just disintegrate anything that doesn't have armor, and all 4 units you're sending are going to have no armor. Maybe the thought process for Core is like, if I can force him to build military units, then that's good anyway. Instead, it looks like Demu may be playing into Core's hand here. If this is an intent to go 2TC off the back of Song, then I actually think Demu may have made a bit of a mistake here. The reason is that you could very easily get punished for this with the military wing units, right? Like, you're not going to get a good TC placement, which I guess isn't the end of the world for the GG. But you also are going to give harassment value over the Core, right? In a game where usually you probably say the Abbasids shouldn't be able to do anything with these initial units in this matchup, he'll be able to due to the fact that you're going to be spending, or presumably, 600 or so resources on the TC, and then, of course, the tech up is going to cost you another... Oh, I always get the maths on it. Was it 520, I think? 510, sorry. Because remember, Tang Dynasty gives a 15% discount. Which is about to arrive here. Scout already knows about it as well. I love the fact that Core just sits in range of the TC and says, yes, yes, I am coming. Demu, yeah, he needs to move more villages over ASAP. Now, the good news is it's only 2 archers, 2 spearmen, so it won't be enough to stop him gathering, but it is going to kind of skew his economy a bit. Might actually cost him a villager if he's not careful as well. Yeah, so starts moving the village away. That is going to be a villager going down. I mean, it should be. Wait. Huh? Nani? Okay, he's at least going to get one now, but I mean, that should have been 2 villages then. A little bit surprised by that. Demu. Oh, even more surprising. He doesn't have the stone. What? He has to build a marketplace. This feels terrible, guys. He just spent 170 gold to get 10 extra stone. Right? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. He bought 100 for it, but he only needed 10 of it. That feels catastrophic. That's so painful. Interesting choice to delete the mining camp. I guess he just doesn't want to deal with the pings, right? Because remember, the Abbasids, like, they don't get anything from burning these builds down. It's not the Mongols. But TC now rushed up. Other side of this court already has his on the way as well, but notably slow, right? Juji build speed difference. The difference that's going to balance out a bit nicer is the fact that, remember, you've got fresh foodstuffs here. You know, we've seen a lot of these Abbasid Chinese matchups before where I think I still favor Abbasids, but you can see how Chinese can contest. I think this matchup's a bit different, though, because you don't have the Song Dynasty that gives the extra production speed. You don't have the Song Dynasty at all in this game. You just have 2 TC versus what I would say is a better 2 TC. Yeah, it's kind of wild how much better China is than Juji. Not just the Song Dynasty, but it's also the Taxman detail, right? The Imperial Academy buff was kind of bonkers, whereas this Civ still struggles to kind of get those Imperial officials out, right? They don't get the discount you do as the Chinese, and also they have to sacrifice villager production to do it. Is it worth throwing those units under the TC5 to just force a shift around of villagers? Yes, because he doesn't want them, right? You can see, like, Korra's not building any more military units, right? So he just wants as much idle time as he can get. If you were trying to scale into something bigger, I'd agree throwing them away is kind of a no-no. Demu. Wow. Well. We've seen this before out of him, actually. I think we cast a game a few weeks back. I believe it's against HRE as well, where he went for the Palace Guard spam. We've also seen him do it against Kiljadi's Mongols. It's a pretty cool idea. You scale several of these Palace Guard, you force a reaction, and then you just pull them away, tech up. All of a sudden, you've got your Castle-Age Palace Guard already in the field. In the meantime, you just have this beautiful blocker to anything Core really wants to do, because there's no realm of existence in which Core is going to choose to do a camel boom right now, right? So that's your biggest threat that isn't there. Instead, what he's doing is free TC Abbasids. What? Alright, this is getting quite some interesting spices to the brew. So Demu's going to fast castle now, right? Because I think he did just glimpse on that, right? He did scout on it. So he knows the free TC build. Presumably. He definitely knows at least 2 TC. Understandably, you don't want to play a long feudal because you'll just be falling behind. He is going to go for the fast castle. I like this. It's really smart. Like, Core's not going to be able to rush it. He went free TC with military wing, which means he's not going to get the discount. That already hurts. On top of that, when he does go for the tech up, he's going to be stuck waiting almost 2 minutes. And it's not really the type of game where you want to spend those resources to build units beforehand, right? Because if you do, you're doing this, which is exactly what I was worried about him having to do. The Camel Archers. They're a Palace Guard, which kind of justifies it, but now with your opponent coming over the top into Castle, I feel like Camel Archers is the worst thing you can build here. You're slowing yourself down too much, right? Like, you're not going to have the resources amply to get to a fast castle. And on top of that, you're not even going to have the scalability. And what I mean by that is Camel Archers, they take 35 seconds each. It's not like you're booming these units out every 10, 15 seconds. Shaolin Monastery now on the way. Decent discount on this, right? Like, he's saving himself, it'd be 270 resources. Camel Archer. Oh, cool. Cool. That is definitely not a core W. Heavy damage on the Camel Archer and hasn't really done anything with it. So Demu just a cheeky little outplay here. The other important thing here is this is just keeping Core at home. So he's not even intercepting relics, which is critical because remember, Demu did go up the Shaolin Monastery. First one already queued up. Yeah, this is going to get rough. You know, what's interesting is sometimes I've actually seen players drop a monastery just so they can spend gold into monk production as well. I'm not expecting that this game. I don't think you need to. I think you just prior the food and rush it. The reason why it can sometimes feel good here is because like you're already spending a lot of food onto TC production, and this, you know, do you really want to be putting onto Shaolins when you want to be putting on Knights instead? I think in this game it's fine because Core doesn't have anything. Right? Like if this is a game where you need to scale army, I think pumping this many Shaolin monks would kill you, but it's a smart read by Demu, and now Core. Military wing, free TC into eco wing. I see this kind of build way too often, and it always hurts me. I really do wonder if at the start of this game, had Core just chosen to go eco wing instead, could this game have looked a lot better for him? Has at least got almost a 10 eco lead at the stage, but the difference maker really for Demu is going to be the relics that the monks are now gathering. On top of that, remember these monks actually make reasonable attackers themselves for the main army. 15 damage, a 0.75 attack speed. That is the lowest you will find, right? If you think Ona Big E should attack quick, meet these lads. What did you guys bet on in the end? I've got a feeling we got loads of Demu fans in there. Okay, it's 97% Juji. Poor Core with the 3% of votes. How do you counter Byzantines? All right, I'm going to run you through this. It's a really, really high-level guide. So have you got your notepad out? Make sure you're paying attention. So, all right, what I want you to do first of all, you need to start with your PC. You need to get on it. You go on Age of Empires 4. You're going to read the details that sound most egregious to you about the Byzantines. And then you're going to open up Reddit. And then you're going to type out a post. I just sat down and realized chat said that as well. So, I mean, how you counter Byzantines? Like, you're asking me for the holy grail of answers without any context of what you're playing. Yuan Dynasty is funky, by the way. That gives him the discount, right? So, Yuan Dynasty, I'm trying to remember the numbers. It is it a 15% discount? Oh, sorry, 10%. Yeah, it's 10%. Yeah, you're right. So, a 10% discount on all units, right? Honestly, am I the only one who feels like Yuan Dynasty is kind of underwhelming for the Zhuji? I don't think I want it to be buffed. I'd rather it just be something creatively different than a little bit of a discount. It's very weird because like Zhuji in a lot of ways feels like a discount Chinese, which is ironic because basically all of the dynasties are based around discounts. Right? Like, it's kind of a weird thing that just reinforces our idea that this is a cheap version of the main Civ. Is that all of their dynasties are about cheapness, except Ming, which gives the... What does Ming give? Because it's not the damage, because that's... No, it is the damage, right? Because standard China is health. I think Ming is damage. Yeah, 15%. Thank you, Crackety. It's like, unless you go all the way into Imperial Age, which doesn't even... Like, the rest of Imperial just feels terrible anyway. There's just no upside at all for this Civ. Demu now going for the Jeanne D'Arc. Wait, is he losing out to that one Camelot? Not like this. Okay, this is one of those sad moments where you're like, I've got 26 villages. If I just stab him once. The problem is, as long as Core doesn't do something silly, he shouldn't really ever get caught here. So Jeanne D'Arc is eventually going to come out. Core, in the meantime, in his base, is getting raided. The Palace Guard have done some chip damage here, but not enough. Core still over 10 villages ahead. And his farm transition fully underway here. 15 farms in, he's adding about another 10. Meanwhile, on the other side, Demu, of course, is getting the Song Dynasty prepped so that he can get into his own farm transition. And yes, you did just see that correctly. Demu built his Castle Age landmark to then go back and build his other Song Dynasty Feudal Age landmark. The reason for this is he probably wanted the extra food that you get out of taxing Mount Lu Academy. And you might wonder, well, why did he do it that way around? Well, because he was still Tang, right? So he got the 15% discount on doing the second Castle Age landmark, which is more cost efficient than doing it the other way around. I mean, not that you could because you lose the dynasty, right? So that detail aside, it's also the fact that this is just more cost efficient. Did it go to 100%? I think it can be both details. I think it can actually genuinely be both details. Like, I've noticed this. A lot of players have stopped in Mount Lu Academy, and I've noticed the difference it makes in their food. It's kind of surprising just how helpful it can be. It doesn't sound like a lot, right? 20% of taxation, but when you got multiple taxmen scurrying around taxing everything, surprising what it can do. It's kind of similar to the idea of the Japanese farmhouse with Yorishiro drops. Seems irrelevant, really isn't. Demu going hard into those Shaolin monks now. Dude, he's going to rush Imperial Age. Okay, this is getting pretty comical. Yeah, we've got a ball boy build from the ball boy himself into Imperial Age, which is really big because remember the Shaolin monks. The reason this is kind of efficient is the fact that Shaolin monks don't have an elite upgrade. You have to queue up, right? They just auto get upgraded. A few villagers are going to be chipped down, though. I mean, this is a game where Demu has five relics and 3 sacred sites, right? Like, he's got an insane amount of gold. It's kind of weird because he's not really spending the gold. Nestabes are now in the way, which is pretty smart here, considering that Core mainly just has crossbows. What is this build? Oh, I love watching Ben. Villagers now being pulled. He's like, don't kill my market that allowed me to build my TC earlier on. Monks now marching out. Funnily enough, very effective up against Rams, by the way. And he has activated the Body of Iron, so 50% range damage reduction. Remember, the way this works is you take away 50% of the damage you take, and then you take away an extra 2 for the ranged armor techs you've got. So it gets the Breathing Room, pushes the Rams back, and that buys time now for the Nestabes. Demu, hard commitment now back into the cast laser. Looked like for a second he was heading for Imperial Age. Instead, he is going to be adding in a healthy layering of Palace Guard plus more Shaolin monks. Only one farm cluster in, second one is now in the way. Core has to be a little bit worried about that, right? Like, it's such a meaningful build, but if this ever gets fully online, it feels so hard to shut down, especially at this stage in the game. Still, we've got some ways to go. Remember, the production speed is pretty quick here. 20 seconds to pump one of these bad boys out. Bees are being dodged out. Core. One nice thing for him is how long this Body of Iron cooldown is, right? Like, you're waiting, I think it's, I'm trying to remember, was it 2 minutes? Either 2 minutes or 100 seconds. It's a very long wait. And once that's gone, these guys do die fairly fast. The issue right now is Core is microing like a goldfish. He seems to be looking away. Stood his ground. Worst possible thing to do against the ball guys. You see, what people don't really realize about the Shaolin monks is they all have arthritis. So if you just run and gun, they die quite easily. Standing still, definitely not fast. Phillips. Oh, he can get a second one here. Or we could just attack guys that will kick our ass. Okay, so not as expensive as it should have been for Demu. It's kind of funny, right? Like, we're in a game where Core is almost 40 villages ahead, but it doesn't really feel substantial when you consider the taxman effect, when you consider the relic situation. Like, Demu is in a fairly good position, and the taxman effect is just exacerbated further by that Mount Lu Academy detail with the food, which kind of generates even more to work with here. What is the win condition now for these two players? I mean, Core can play this game very late, right? Like, the Abbasids are one of the few civs that can trump China and discount China in that late game. Actually, that's not true. Everyone can trump Juji in late game. I think it's good for Core to try and find age up, because to me, I feel like this is one of the strongest points for Juji. When you go into Imperial, it feels like you have this very shallow and hollow Imperial, right? You don't have hand cannoneers. Some of your unique techs that you can lean into your landmarks from just don't even feel that great. Ming is maybe your one redeeming quality, but your landmarks, once again, in that age just don't feel as powerful. The one way I could see maybe late game looking good for Juji is if you play into cavalry. I feel like that's what the intent was from the devs. It's like, no, none of this hand cannoneer and infantry and siege stuff play into the cav. The problem there is this is one of the worst civs to play into cav against, right? Like, we're reaching late game where camel riders, camel archers, spearmen, these are all things that Abbasids thrive in. So, well, the other thing they thrive in is the trade. Core now on his way towards Imperial Age. Is trade win wise? Yes, because we're heading into late game, right? And gold will eventually dry up. Your opponent went from Mount Lu Academy. He's playing Shaolin Monk comp, which means he can just afford to play the late game on food only. And on top of that, he is going to have plenty of gold to assist it. So what do? You go trade so you never run out of gold. That's very important for the Abbasids because they have some very strong tools in the late game. The hand cannoneers are pretty decent due to the extra health they get. On top of that, you've got Ghoulims, which are actually surprisingly effective up against Shaolin monks, right? Shaolin monks have very limited melee armor. They cannot damage reduct melee attacks, and Ghoulims have the double strike. So it's very important that Core ensures he has late game gold access here. Temple of the Sun down the way from Demu as well. Correct choice as well. I've been losing my hair. All right, like me and Demu are going to be bros at this rate. At the detail of library. Like, so often when I watch UG players, they go library first, and then they don't use library for 4 minutes. And it hurts me. Guys, you don't realize how deeply to my efficiency core it hurts. By the time they queue something up in that library, they've already gone and got their other tier 4 landmark. So, like, always, in my opinion, go Temple of the Sun, unless you have some very weird niche strategy in mind, such as maybe mass bombards with the Terrorizing Cloud. But, like, you know, most games, you're not going to go to that straight away. Even if you did, the way that becomes disgusting is with Divine Defense. Like, all the good options feel like they come after Temple of the Sun. So both players with the tech up. Cool, going in the Last Horseman now. Against Shaolin monks, you might say that's a very weird choice, but I want you guys to realize that this is the equivalent of Cherry, was it Cherry knocking on an old man's door, right? You hear him run the door, you knock on it, he comes to the door. What are you all doing on my lord? Yeah, shut up, old man, and then you just run away. Like, that's all you have to do. And it's kind of interesting the way Core's begun this, because I don't think you need to attack into the siege. All you need to do is flood into the economy. That's how you now win this game. Demu hasn't protected himself, right? He's got a stone wall across the ways, but not towards his main base. He's not playing China, which means no Great Wall Gatehouse to protect him either. And everything about Ben's comp reeks of lack of mobility. Yeah, don't go knocking on my door, okay? Depending on your country, you definitely should not knock on old men's doors. They might have terrible eyesight, but they also might have a shotgun sitting behind the door. Ghoulims now marching in on the villagers, though. Demu's trying to get some keeps. He knows he needs someone to defend against what's coming here. This is the thing, like, Core, the moment he revealed the Horseman, Demu, this was a very smart reaction. He understood what this game's about to turn into. It's going to be a Horseman flood that you can't keep up with. So how do you deal with that? You wall, you keep, you restrict that mobility. A bit of a weird micro from Core there, though. Runs past the stone line, comes back in again. I think he's maybe trying to bait the Nestami's out of position. Doesn't really work in the end. Still, he can keep this up for days. Look at his economy. 150 to 91. His whole goal here is to try and starve Demu out so he can't reach mass boom. Because I think that's the one thing Core's worried about is when they both go max cap. Although usually are very inefficient compared to China, they've got some things working in their favor, such as that 5 relic grab in this game for Demu. Numbers are crawling upwards. What's the count of Shaolin monks? More Shaolin monks. Thanks, I'm here all week. So, the counter to Shaolin monks, like in this game, Ghoulims are really good. Ghoulims are probably your single best counter. Hand cannoneers suck because of Body of Iron. Mangoes are also as your bait. It's just so hard to get enough mango damage together. Like, it's a 252 HP unit, right? You're just not going to kill him quick enough. When an army is 70% nest apiece? Well, hold on a sec. Calm down. We're not that deep in. Don't be a knob about it. Wait. He's on the other page. I hate myself. Oh, this could be big. Cool. Needs to get the hell out quick. Remember, no textiles, plus the fact these guys hit for an absurd 19 damage. And also, it's kind of more wild than that. Like, their DPS checks out at, I think it's 25 a second. And he hasn't even fully scaled it, right? Like, yeah, he's missing 2 melee attacks here. Flash in the base, cool. I mean, cool, you just gotta go, buddy. They don't come back to deal with this. Clean this up later. How you deal with the Shaolin monks? Someone asked, what is the counter? The counter is simple. You ignore them until they die. They're old men, right? They've only got a few years left. Run away from them. Run towards the thing that's fueling them. These guys are not cheap. 200 food each. Find the economy. Shut it down. Or you could run at the old men with walking sticks and get hit with a whipping stick. Sorry, the whooping stick. Is Cole really losing this game? I'm trying to weigh up whether this is like Demu just played this really, really well, or if there was a slip up by Cole. I think Cole's idea to go Horseman was smart, but his choice to attack the Siege and the Shaolin monks, not so smart, right? Like, brain cell count declined at that point. He had a lot of Horsemen. He should have been flooding the farms. Like, that's, I think, the way you deal with this. And then behind it, you stonewall up so there's no counter raids. Instead, he still has enemy monks in his base. He's still only building Horsemen. If your goal is to fight the mass monks, you have to build Gulags. And by the way, the Siege shouldn't be a problem because also you're the Civ that has culverins. So you dominate Siege battles. So yeah, I feel like Korg became a little bit too fixated with Horsemen. And it turns out old men beat horses. Wait, what? Okay, someone's got to run the blue factories. Demu now with his nest of bees operating like trebuchets here. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, so we said China's kind of like worse than, like better rather than Juji at everything. But guys, I think I found the one way that Juji can be better. Mass Shaolin monks and Nesta Bees is the premium Nesta Bee spear comp. I mean, you should never be allowed to afford it, but if somehow, some way, you get the moolah together, this is what you can expect. Alright, we got Juji Library now on the way. So Demu, I mean, this is kind of where things get wild, right? Is these Shaolin monks do benefit from the Divine Haste, notably so. They get actually reasonably speedy. The other possibility in this game that I could see being pretty good is Divine Defense. Like, switch over to Divine Defense for the Nesta Bees spam. And then I think on the unique text in the Juji Library, he's probably looking at... What one is he going for here? Wait, is he going more Taxman? I mean, you could go the Bombards and go the 11 tower range, right? Which also complements the Divine Defense really well. Because for the time being, he's literally just keeping it on Divine Vitality, which is... I don't know if that's just a mystic or intentional. I think the idea is kind of cool, like, because the Shaolin monks, when they're moving between new targets, will heal even quicker, right? Because you've got the Divine Vitality, but then you also have the Ascetic Recovery. Which I believe, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I think Ascetic Recovery is either, is it 1 health a second or 1.5? So you're getting either 3 or 3.5 healing per second. So you're getting like double chivalry. Alright, moment of truth. What did he want from this? There's no way he wanted to roar the dragon, right? I think that's still bugged. Is he going for the dynastic protectors like we talked about? I think this might be a Protectors build. Remember, we said that's the one way I think that Juji really makes a lot of sense in the late game. Outside this kind of memey Shaolin Monk Siege build is to go Cav. I think those are the two angles you can approach the late game with Juji. So Dynastic Protector is pretty good. Instead, though, it is going to be the Cloud of Terrors and the 10,000 Volts. Now, that's pretty cool, because Demu is the guy who I've seen experiment with this. We've actually got, I believe it's uploaded on the YouTube channel. There's a really cool game where it experiments with the Cloud of Terrors and the Divine Defense. It's 11 tower range bombards. They're like mini great bombards. I was really impressed. I believe he wasn't able to win in that game in the end, but it looked like he should off the back of that strat. So potentially a very strong one. In the meantime, these Shaolin monks are looking the strongest of all. Camel Arch is not really being microed away by Core. Oh no, and he's got the Divine Haste. And the Ming! Okay, so this is what I was worried about. This is the moment where the final melee tech is going to come in, right? And then we're talking about 25 damage per strike. That gives him a, quite frankly, absurd DPS check of 31.5 with these guys. There are not many units that can match that. Like that, you're literally in knight territory at that point, right? Like that is elite knight damage. Yeah, you know how usually you have that, like from the Star Wars movies, like I'm one with the Force and the Force is one with me. I'm one with the Force, right? Demu's just here. I'm one with the board and the board is one with me. I'm one with the board and the board is one with me. Wait, please tell me he got the armored caravans. He did, and it doesn't even matter. You know, in a lot of situations, the armored traders is really smart. It doesn't matter because these Shaolin monks just hit so hard. Oh my god. You have to feel for him because I have to wonder what is Core thinking right now? Where did this go wrong? How is it that I am unable to defeat the power of the Balds?